Great. Thank you for the introduction, Florian. My name is Ryan Terribilini. I am head of developer relations at Ripple Labs. Ripple Labs is a company that has developed the Ripple protocol, which Fidor is the first bank to integrate for cross-border payments. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can make Ripple work with a banking system to do cross-currency payments with those APIs. So I'm head of developer relations at Ripple Labs. That means I take our APIs and tools and help people build businesses with them. So very curious to hear your thoughts and how we can go about working together. So to give you a bit of an agenda of what we're going to talk about today, first I'll just give you an overview of Ripple at a high level, like what is this technology and why is it valuable? And then we'll talk about how we can actually link different payment systems together with Ripple as the middle layer. So specifically today we're going to focus on linking ACH in the United States with SEPA in Europe. And then we will actually do a cross-border payments demo. We will take US dollars from a bank account in the US and move it to euros in a Fidor account within the matter of 5 seconds. So that's going to be really cool. And we can talk about some business opportunities that this technology enables, and then I will take some questions. So before I get into it, I just wanted to say that it's an honor to be here working with Fidor. Coming into freezing Munich after being in sunny San Francisco is a bit of a change, but I think we'll manage it together. So let's go into an overview of Ripple first. Before I talk about that, I wanted to just kind of give you an analogy about payment systems. So I think of payment systems like walled gardens, all right? Because on the inside, they're beautiful, your friends are there, there's some nice flowers, but they're kind of limited if you want to go do other things with it. So like, you know, PayPal, eBay, merchants on eBay accept PayPal, lots of coffee shops in San Francisco take it, so I can pay with PayPal there. Lots of my friends are on it, so if I need to settle a debt with them, I can. But the problem with that is that it only holds US dollars, and if I want to move my PayPal dollars outside of that system, it's very hard to do so because this walled garden gate is like kind of old and rusty and creaky, so I can't like move value out of the system. And there's not too many flowers. Like, I guess the gardener only wanted to plant one, and it was US dollars, so I can't get other types of currency into that system. So with that in mind, it would be interesting to see how we can interconnect these walled gardens so that there's nice paths to walk along so that the value can flow more seamlessly from system to system. So that's kind of what the vision for the Ripple protocol is to interconnect these siloed, balkanized payment systems through one kind of unified internet protocol, which is kind of setting the standard for how the value moves between these systems. So that's Ripple at a high level. And to give you kind of a deeper analogy or a deeper example of how this manifests itself today, we have a system called correspondent banking. How many people have heard of that term? Really? We're on the business track and only 3 people have heard of correspondent banking? Come on. So correspondent banking is the primary method by which funds move internationally today. So if I have US dollars and I need to send it to somebody in Europe, it goes through a system called correspondent banking, often facilitated by messages sent through the SWIFT network. So let's say I bank with Charles Schwab in the United States, and I need to send to Fidor, to Fabian, to reimburse him for a flight or something that they paid for. So for that to happen today, my funds, I have to send them over ACH in the United States, so that's going to clear through the Fed. And then there's going to be a correspondent bank in the United States, which might be a larger bank like a Citibank, and they will actually have what is called a Nostro account with a European bank, say like Deutsche. So Citibank is going to determine that FX rate. There's one provider of the foreign exchange, and they're going to monopolize that rate and charge whatever they want for the US dollar to euro transaction. Once Citi has settled with Deutsche on that side, the respondent bank is then going to forward those euros along that they negotiated with Citi over to Fidor. So then it's going to clear the European Central Bank. So as you can see, there's some inefficiencies in this system because the money has to take several hops consecutively. So there's latency, lag time, and you don't know what foreign exchange rate you're going to get when you do this transaction. So that's the system as we know it today. Do people send money internationally a lot? Have they experienced this? So you can have multiple people that hold US dollar balances and euro balances, and they're all competing to offer the best rate because the Ripple protocol, by default, will take the cheapest route so that you are guaranteed the best rate. So if this guy is charging some chunky foreign exchange rate and this guy's got a really tight spread, the transaction will route through that market maker. So he will buy my dollars on this side of the transaction and sell the euros in real time so that the settlement happens instantly. Any questions about that? Make sense? Cool. So that's the Ripple alternative to correspondent banking. So now that I've kind of talked at a high level about like the differences between correspondent banking and how Ripple can settle international transactions, wanted to tell you a bit about the demo we'll do today, which takes dollars from the United States going through the automated clearinghouse, which is the clearing agent managed by the Federal Reserve, converts those US dollars on the Ripple protocol into euros, and then delivers those euros through SEPA, which is the bank-to-bank clearing network within Europe. So here's the scenario that we're in. So I'm here with a developer from my team, Young-Soo. Say hi. We both love foosball, believe it or not. Americans can enjoy foosball every once in a while. So yeah, I'm a big Bayern München fan. I don't know about you guys. Anyone? Bayern? Ian Robin is the best player in the world, just saying. So we love this team, and we flew in last night from San Francisco, and they just happened to be playing at Allianz. So we're like, why not go check out Allianz and see one of the best teams in the world? The problem is we don't have any euros, so we need to resolve this method. How are we going to get our tickets if we don't have any euros? So of course we could just pay with a credit card if we wanted to, but we're going to get charged a hefty foreign exchange fee by our credit card. So MasterCard or Visa is going to charge me a 3% fee for paying a merchant who wants euros with my US dollars. Last time I gave a talk at Fidor Developer Day, I tried to withdraw some money from an ATM in London at the Developer Day in London, and got a risk block put on my account, so couldn't even access the funds when I needed to, just because some of the payment systems might think that's a risky transaction since I'm abroad. And the merchant won't actually receive their money for days, so they can't put that back to work as fast because they have to wait a week or so for the money to actually clear. So those are the disadvantages of paying with a credit card. Wouldn't it be cool if we could link some API calls from the Ripple system, which is converting the dollars to the euros, and Fidor, which can actually do API calls to deliver those euros throughout the SEPA network. So that's what we're going to get into. And to do that, I would like to call Young-Soo to the stage, who's going to run our demo. We wanted to buy these Bayern München tickets, so we need to send some money to Europe. So let's just pretend that these are really cheap tickets. Say they're €1. So right now, Young-Soo is going to get a quote on the Ripple network. So actively looking for the live market rate between euros and US dollars. Liquidity providers, you'll probably just want to choose the cheapest one. But that is an option to see which paths there are and decide which one to take. Young-Soo has successfully gotten a quote from the Ripple network of €1 costing $1.16 American. So maybe not the best rate, but we can work on getting better liquidity later. So now we're going to actually fill out sender and receiver information. So yeah, Air ticket seller. This guy who's selling the Bayern Munich tickets. He lives at Football Street. Okay, so the first slide that you saw, we used a Ripple API to check the US dollar euro rate. So when Young-Soo put in €1 and it returned $1.16 American, that was actually doing an API call just like this to check the rate. Yes. Through the Ripple network, so that's a distributed exchange. So it's multiple. This is a centralized API service, which queries the Ripple network, which is a distributed network of servers. So we're checking that rate. Now on this next screen that Young-Soo is currently on, we're going to input the sender and receiver information. So why don't we jump back to that? Okay, and now we're on the stage of the transaction lifecycle where we are inputting our information. We say we want to pay Air ticket seller. We've got his address, we've got his BIC and his IBAN, and then we can pay the amount through Ripple. So confirm the quote. Okay, so now we've used a payment provider here that can actually pull dollars out of our account and send them into the Ripple network. So this is a business trip. I guess Ripple Labs will pay for our soccer tickets. Of course, Chris Larson is our CEO and our favorite pet. Yeah, great. So the transaction is complete, and we can see that we paid $1.16 to send €1 into Air Ticket Seller's Fidor account. And yeah, I think this is a pretty cool castle nearby, right? We might have to go check that out and pay for our ticket to the castle as well with the same system. So why don't you open up a new tab and we can see the money in the account. It's banking. Yeah, banking. Transactions, great. So if you scroll down, there you'll see the euro posted into air ticket seller's account. So that was a real-time transaction from US dollars to euros through the Ripple network. So instead of 5 to 10 days for the transaction to clear, we just did it in 5 seconds. Yeah, next slides. Thank you. Thank you. And thank Yang-Soo. He's the one that worked tirelessly to build it, and we'll be doing an API deep dive on that later. Yes, sir. It depends on the available liquidity for US dollars to euros. So that would probably exhaust the liquidity in amount that much, but this was just intended to give a small demo of the functionality. So let's see what we can do here. So we confirmed the quote. We waited for the dollars to come in, so that was that screen where we use the payments provider for ACH. Then we actually, once the Ripple transaction happened, we used Fidor's API to do a SEPA credit transfer to air ticket seller's account to actually deliver the euros. So in summary, 3 interconnected transactions. Dollars left our account. They arrived on Ripple. They were converted to euros. They arrived at Fidor, and then Fidor initiated a SEPA transaction to the specified account that we had outlined in the app. And there we are at the game. We made it. It worked. 2-0 Bayern. It was a good game. So let's talk about some business opportunities that this type of technology enables. We talked about real-time settlement. So Ripple is a foreign exchange market. That conversion happens in 5 seconds, right? So that enables you to give the fastest cross-border payments versus 5 to 10 days for delivery, as you would see in a traditional correspondent banking scenario. Because it's an open liquidity pool, anybody can play the role of foreign exchange provider or liquidity provider. So anybody that holds US dollars on one end of a transaction and euros on the other can offer a rate for saying, I will buy the euros for this much or sell the euros for this much. So anybody can play that role so that you're guaranteed to get a good rate, rather than it being monopolized by a single liquidity provider like in a correspondent banking scenario. It really depends on which market you're looking at. So for US dollars to euros, we saw that the rate wasn't necessarily the best, but for example, US dollar to Korean won is actually a great rate right now. So depends on the liquidity there. And because all these orders are on a public ledger, this is a distributed foreign exchange market, you get transparent pricing. So we can do a real-time price lookup so you know exactly how much you're going to pay before you initiate the transaction. And typically in kind of a correspondent banking thing, you're not sure which fees are going to be levied by different banks along kind of the value chain of the money moving. So you have no idea how much your receiver is actually going to get when all is said and done after the money arrives in their bank account 5 to 10 days later. So yeah, Ripple has got some pretty clear benefits. So what can we do with this? So we can create new corridors with Ripple gateways. So today on the Ripple network, we have gateways in Japan, China, Korea, Europe, Mexico, but we're always looking to add new countries so that kind of new corridors can sprout up so you can do cross-border payments to more countries faster than ever. So you can create person-to-person remittance apps with this type of technology, do business-to-business payments, or we could do something like international e-commerce for ticket sales to American tourists looking to go to Bayern Munich games. That's very dependent on local regulation or local laws, basically, regarding money transmission. So the U.S. can be a notoriously difficult market to operate that type of thing in, but other countries are more open to it, like Japan. So the opportunity here is to provide customers with the fastest cross-border payments in the world. And if you can find and source good foreign exchange rates through the Ripple protocol, that can create a good kind of profit margin for yourself as a payment service provider. So I just wanted to give a big shout out and thanks to the team back in San Francisco that helped us build this demo. Fabian, Eli, Anna, Mulika, Matt, Vahe, and Nathan for helping us out. And Yang-Soo too for operating. So thank you, Yang-Soo.